It's just past 6 o'clock. It is Saturday the 21st of January, and welcome to Wyke Regis TV News on a Saturday, coming to you live from the heart of Wyke Regis. And in the news this week, 8-line plans to develop Dorset County Hospital site have been approved. 8-line plans to develop the Dorset County Hospital site have been approved by the Dorset Council this week. The Trust's Your Future Hospital programme sets out plans to expand facilities on the site in Dorset and to help meet increasing demand. These include building a new emergency department and critical care unit on the site of the former Weymouth First School, which is included as part of the government's new hospital programme, which will see 40 new hospitals built by 2030. The 8-line plans also take into account the Trust's longer-term aspirations to improve the hospital's main entrance, provide integrated care and offer key worker housing for staff. Nick Johnson, who's the Interim Chief Executive of Dorset County Hospital, has said, "This is an exciting milestone for DCH and brings us a step closer to expanding our site, including building a brand new emergency department and critical care unit. Our hospital is busier than ever, so investment is vital to allow us to provide the highest standards for care for many years to come." The new emergency department and critical care unit will have a dedicated children's area and an enhanced recovery service and a mental health suite as well. We will have more beds and the facilities we need to care for our sickest patients. It will also allow us to repurpose the existing spaces to help us meet the rising demand for other inpatient services. The Trust will now prepare detailed designs and submit them to Dorset Council for approval, with the new emergency department and critical care unit being the first major scheme. Subject to full business case approval by government and the full planning submissions being granted, construction work is hoped to start in 2024. Work to demolish the former Weymouth School building will now begin in the spring. This will allow groundworks to be carried out to prepare for the development work. Now, South Western Railway customers have advised only to travel if essential between Basingstoke and Woking due to the major landslip, which we can see in the picture. Major landslip near Hook means a severely restricted service between Basingstoke and Woking. There are currently no through trains from London Waterloo, either from Exeter, Weymouth or Portsmouth Harbour. No trains will call at Hook, Winchfield and Fleet until further notice. South Western Railway is advising customers travelling between Basingstoke and Woking this week to only do so if their journey is absolutely necessary, as a major landslip in the Hook area is severely reducing the number of trains that can be safely run. The work is expected to take around a week or slightly more, so hopefully by the middle of next week things might start to get back to normal. If you're travelling from Weymouth to London Waterloo, there is a shuttle bus service, but places are severely limited, so they are actually advising you not to travel at all by train towards London if you can avoid it. And so they also say that Sunday's landslip, this is last Sunday's landslip, was one of 11 separate incidents that affected infrastructure on South Western Railway's routes overnight on Sunday and into Monday. This included major flooding in the Sway area, which added to the disruption on an already revised service between Weymouth and London Waterloo. So we will keep you posted if things are not back to normal by next weekend. Now, the first plans for a new fire training facility in Weymouth for the fire service have been unveiled. The new training facility, which will serve the Dorset area of the Dorset and Wilts Fire Service, are part of a plan to develop 2 training facilities for the Dorset and Wilts Fire Service, the other one being in Devizes. The plan for Weymouth will see the development of land behind the current Weymouth Community Fire Station and will see modern and more environmentally sustainable training methods being employed. Currently, training in Dorset is done on former MOD land at West Moors. Now, if all goes to plan, work should start in early 2024, and the new sites both at Weymouth and the refurbished site at Devizes should be up and running by the end of 2025. £8 million has been set aside for the new Weymouth facility and a revamp of the existing Wiltshire facility in Devizes. Now, the government has announced that Dorset Council has been successful in securing £19.5 million of the Levelling Up funding from government intended for investment into Weymouth. Dorset Council submitted an ambitious bid to the second round of the government's Levelling Up Fund last summer, with the aim of regenerating Weymouth's waterfront economy. The council will support the government investment by making a financial contribution of £3.5 million towards the overall project cost, bringing the total package of investment into Weymouth to £23 million. Councillor Tony Ferrari, Dorset Council's portfolio holder for property assets and regeneration, said the £19 million allows us to put the essential infrastructure in place to attract private sector investment, which in turn will lead to new homes being built, increased employment and a more prosperous town. We'll now also be able to accelerate the programmed harbour wall maintenance work, which will allow regeneration to happen by making Weymouth a sustainable seaside town with robust flood defences, which in turn will attract private investment. The successful waterside regeneration bid focuses on 3 sites in the town centre: the peninsula around the pavilion, North Quay, where the old town council offices were, and the town centre. The main focus of the work outlined in the bid includes installing of a utility infrastructure and repairs to the harbour walls at the peninsula and North Quay, which will allow proposals from private investors for new residential, commercial and leisure to be invited. The business case for the harbour wall repairs is based on bringing work forward by 10 years, so redevelopment can happen sooner. Land assembly within the town centre, which involves purchasing long lease interests as they did previously for the Weymouth Bowl site, and this will help generate fresh development opportunities and regain management of the land that the council already owns. Now, Public Health Dorset is working with health colleagues to urge eligible people who haven't had their COVID-19 or flu vaccines to do so. Cases of flu and other respiratory viruses remain high in the community. The best way to stay protected from flu and COVID-19 is to get vaccinated. First, second and booster doses of the COVID-19 vaccine are still available in Dorset, and some residents are also eligible for a seasonal booster. Information about how to get yours is available by visiting the COVID-19 vaccination service pages on the Dorset Healthcare website. Now, the Dorset Healthcare website is dorsethealthcare.nhs.uk, and if you look for COVID-19 vaccination service, you will find the information there. Lots of residents can get a free flu jab, such as people aged over 65, pregnant women and residents living with long-term health conditions. All primary school children and some secondary school children are eligible for flu nasal spray vaccinations this year, which is usually given at school. Information about school immunisations can be found on the Dorset Healthcare website under school immunisations. Parents and carers of children aged 2 and 3 are encouraged to get a free vaccine for their child. This flu vaccine is also a nasal spray with no needles involved. Most young children will not have encountered flu yet, particularly as it was largely kept at bay by COVID-19 restrictions in the past few years. This means they will not have built up a natural immunity to the virus. So it's particularly important for them to get a flu vaccine this year. Now, if you want to know more about flu and the flu vaccine, you can also look at the national NHS website at www.nhs.uk/flu, and that's FLU. Proposals for improving Weymouth seafront have been heavily criticised by local councillors, with one describing the plans as botched. The Weymouth seafront master plan was described as a waste of council tax money by members of the Town Council Services Committee. Weymouth Town Council commissioned consultancy firm Hemingway Design, led by celebrated designer Wayne Hemingway, to draw up a blueprint for enhancing the seafront and beach area. The council allocated £25,000 of its reserves to cover the cost of the development of the master plan and enable the commissioning of any required consultancy services. The document, which contains proposals for different sections of the seafront and promenade along a stretch of coast from the Pavilion to Lodmore, follows a survey in which local people and visitors were asked for their views. But much of what has been proposed cannot be delivered by the Town Council unless the authority is able to get other partners on board. Concerns have also been raised that the project does not include any costs. Councillor Ryan Hope gave assurances that a plan for the seafront will eventually be delivered, but said more work is needed, including more engagement with locals. He added that the consultants were not willing to listen to any suggestions from the public, as they believe they know, that's the consultancy company, what Weymouth wants. After the meeting, a spokesman for Hemingway Design said the firm went above and beyond to deliver the best possible outcome for Weymouth. But councillors learnt that in order for the plan to come to fruition, changes to road layouts and pavements would be needed to be made by Dorset Council, who, according to Councillor David Gray, have not been spoken to at length about this. Describing the Hemingway draft master plan as botched, Councillor Gray said the report by officers was the most disappointing he'd seen in 3.5 years. Given that we signed off council taxpayers' money to get this report, the guy completely ignored the instructions, he added. What we've ended up with is a botched version. We wanted things that we, the town council, could do to improve our beach area and promenade. What we didn't want was to rely on others to do it. I feel we've wasted our money. Following a unanimous vote from the council's subcommittee, council officers will now re-examine the proposals and create a priority list of what can be delivered by the authority itself. Now, 5 libraries in Dorset are offering the chance to borrow an iPad for up to 6 weeks free of charge. The pilot scheme is being offered by Dorset Council Libraries, who are working with Citizens Advice and the Department for Work and Pensions to help people search and apply for jobs online. They can also be used to access online training to gain skills and knowledge. The devices are easy to use with instructional video and support from library staff and the digital champions. There is no need for broadband, as the tablets have free data and are fully loaded with information about looking for work and learning new skills. Now, the iPads will be available to borrow from the following libraries: Blandford, Bridport, Ferndown, Swanage and Weymouth. Councillor Laura Beddoe, Dorset Council's portfolio holder for culture, communities and customer service, said, "This is a great opportunity for people who are struggling to find employment through traditional ways to try a different approach free of charge. Our digital champions are very good at helping inexperienced people to get online." Now, details of the scheme can be found at www.dorsetcouncil.gov.uk/borrow-iPad. Now, of course, if you haven't got one, you won't be able to get onto that website. But maybe a friend can look for you. But if not, go along to one of those libraries and they will be pleased to help. Now, if this pilot is successful, Dorset Council will investigate extending the number of libraries that are able to offer this scheme. Now, officers from Dorset Police are investigating a serious injury collision in Weymouth, and they're looking for witnesses or anyone with dash cam footage to come forward. Dorset Police received a report at 4:23 p.m. on Sunday the 15th of January of a collision involving a green Kawasaki motorcycle and a black Audi hatchback in Littlemore Road. The motorcycle rider, a man aged in his 30s, was taken to hospital for treatment to injuries that were believed to be serious. Dorset Police are particularly keen to hear from anyone who may have relevant dashcam footage from the Littlemore Road area of Weymouth at around 4:20 last Sunday, that's the 15th of January. Now, officers are also investigating a number of thefts on Portland and again appealing for witnesses or anyone with relevant footage to come forward. It's reported that 9:45 p.m. on Saturday the 14th of January, a man entered a van that was parked in Fancy's Close before being disturbed by residents. A further report was received that an attempt was made to break into a van that was parked in the same road overnight between Saturday the 14th of January and Sunday the 15th of January. During the same evening, security lights were stolen from a garden as well as items from a vehicle in Fancy's Close. Also, officers are investigating criminal damage to a car near Dorchester and are appealing for anyone with information to come forward. At 11:14 a.m. on Monday the 26th of December, it was reported that 2 tyres of a car parked on a small country road in the Lower Burton area had been slashed. If you can help with any of these incidents, have any dashcam footage, CCTV footage or home doorbell footage, please contact Dorset Police either on 101, or if you wish to give information anonymously, you can do this through the Crime Stoppers charity on free phone 0800 555 111. That's 0800 555 111. Now, voters will need to show an accepted form of photographic ID next time they go to the polling station to vote. Whilst there are no planned elections in Dorset Council area until May 2024, now is the time to apply if you need to get photo ID, and in case there is a snap election or by-election at any time before then, so that you are ready before 2024. Now, it's a new requirement to show photo ID at the polling station, and it was introduced by the UK Government Elections Act, which came into effect for the first time in May. Acceptable forms of ID include a UK or EEA or Commonwealth passport, a UK EEA or Commonwealth driver's licence, and some concessionary travel passes, such as an older person's bus pass. Voters will be able to use expired ID if they are still recognisable in the photo. So if you've got an old passport that's out of date, but it still looks like you, that will still be okay. Now, a full list of accepted ID is available on the Electoral Commission's website, along with more information about the new requirement and details of how to apply for a free ID if you haven't got anything else that's acceptable. So if you haven't got any of these acceptable photo ID, the government is going to provide free ID for you. To get more information, the website is www.electoralcommission.org.uk/voter ID. So if you don't have anything suitable, you can apply for a free voter ID document, which is going to be known as the Voter Authority Certificate. Just go along to the Electoral Commission website, or you can actually go to the gov.uk website and search for Apply for Photo ID Voter Authority Certificate. Don't forget also, if you are a younger member of the community and you haven't registered to vote yet, so if you've recently approaching 18 or got to 18 and you haven't registered to vote, you need to register to vote, and you can do that at www.gov.uk/register-to-vote. So that's quite important to get that going as well. Now, last week we covered that Dorset County Hospital's maternity service had been performing well in a national survey done by the CQC, the Care Quality Commission. By way of an update, we have learnt this week that in fact they had the best results in the whole country for the CQC maternity survey. So a big congratulations there to the maternity services team at Dorset County Hospital that not only did well in the CQC survey, but actually got the best scores in the whole country in that survey. Now, residents are urged to take part in a survey to residents are urged to take part in a survey to help shape Weymouth's future. As Weymouth continues to grow, people have a golden opportunity to help shape its future, including what sort of development and where it should be, protecting our green spaces and things like improving cycle routes. And that's the message from Councillor David Northam, who's chair of the Neighbourhood Planning Steering Group, which is tasked with working with residents to draw up Weymouth's neighbourhood plan. This will become a key policy document that is used to make decisions about future planning decisions in the area over the next 17 years. So it's vital that local people have a say on it now. After a really positive response to a consultation held this summer, the steering group has launched a survey to ask key questions on land use, as there needs to be a balance between protecting important community and natural spaces and also identifying land for future homes and jobs. They also want residents' views on what can be done to address affordable housing provision and how Weymouth can address the climate emergency by giving views on things like whether new developments should be carbon neutral, enhance biodiversity and be energy efficient. The survey is open now and it's available through to Tuesday the 31st of January. The results will be analysed and fed into a draft neighbourhood plan document which will be published later in 2023 for formal consultation. Now, as well as the online survey, paper copies are available in libraries in Weymouth and at the Weymouth Information Shop in the town centre. And for more details of Weymouth's neighbourhood plan and all the supporting documents and help with background information, go along to the Weymouth Town Council website. Householders across the country are being warned to be prepared as we get into the heart of winter for the possibility of electrical power cuts to ensure that the UK power generation system is not overloaded. The power distribution companies have drawn up plans seeing everyone's address in the UK split up into 8 groups and they're identified by letter. The plans, if they become necessary, will see households losing power for 3 hours at a time and for up to 4 times in each week. Electricity companies are asking householders to be aware of this and make sure they have plans in place for the blackouts if these become necessary. So obviously making sure that you've got adequate numbers of torches and that sort of things, and that if you use vital medical equipment that you've got enough battery backup supply to keep it going. The plans will affect all residential and business addresses, with only key facilities such as hospitals with accident and emergency departments and other key national infrastructure spared the cuts. Those who've got vulnerable householders and are registered as such will have received letters in the last week explaining the plans and how they can get themselves prepared and what they should be thinking of in preparation for these cuts. Now, it's not absolutely sure that they'll be necessary, but plans need to be in place. It is hoped that residents will get 24 hours notice of any proposed cuts. And finally, the Ukraine National Opera is coming to Weymouth for the first time and will perform over 2 nights in March. The group is based in Dnipro, Ukraine, and comes with a 30-strong orchestra. They will be performing Carmen and Madame Butterfly on the 28th and 29th of March. The team supporting the performers and musicians have been working hard to get all the necessary paperwork and visas in hand, whilst the group have been practising hard themselves over the last 5 weeks. They're going to continue practising right up to they leave to travel to the UK. And as well as visiting Weymouth, they will be touring around the country and going to many major towns. Now, tickets are already on sale at the Weymouth Pavilion box office on 01305 783 225. That's on the 28th and 29th of March. So something there to think about and look forward to. Now, that's the end of the headlines in tonight's news. Now, this week I got my 2023, in fact I've got it here, my 2023 National Trust handbook. And I always like to have a look through the handbook, and I had a flick through to remind me of some of the great places in Dorset that we've got from the National Trust to visit, such as places like Corfe Castle, Hardy's Cottage, Kingston Lacey, as well as lots of open spaces where we can go for a walk and fresh air, such as Brownsea, Burton Bradstock. The National Trust have this week issued a short video looking back at what happened in 2022 and looking forward to 2023. So I thought, first of all, I would share that with you this evening. So this is from the National Trust and hot off the press.
For 127 years, generations of volunteers and staff have lit the lamps, put out the boards, and opened the doors and windows. In dark hours and bright days, we've rescued and repaired. We've planted and tended, stood up for places, inviting people everywhere to get involved. In 2022, your support has helped us to protect nature and history in hundreds of places and on thousands of projects, offering people enjoyment, respite and a chance to reconnect with people and places that they haven't seen over the last few years, or finding new places and stories to discover, because beautiful places matter now more than ever as the climate changes. In 2023, we plan to do more for houses, collections, for countryside, and all the way around the coast. But we can't do this without your help. Let's keep coming together and make sure these places and their stories are here long into the future. For everyone, forever.
There we go, that's a quick review of the National Trust in 2022 and 2023. Now, of course, the National Trust has got all sorts of different types of properties, from castles and forts to country houses, to countryside parks, nature reserves, nature trails, you name it, they've got it. And the latest handbook for members has got 450 pages of information. And the handbook's really, really good because particularly if you've got accessibility problems, if you're disabled in any way, it gives you all the information you need to make sure that your visits are easily planned. It tells you about parking, accessibility of the properties or the nature trails, and everything you need. Of course, if you're not a member of the National Trust, you can still visit these properties and you can get information on the National Trust website, nationaltrust.org.uk. But of course, if you are a member and you've got your book, do look and see some of those fantastic places you can visit. Now, I've mentioned some of the ones in Dorset. Of course, if you're prepared to travel a little bit further into Devon or Somerset or Hampshire, then there's lots more on offer to you as well. And if you're going not somewhere on holiday, why not have a look in the area that you're going on holiday and see what is available to visit in the locality. So that's the National Trust. So moving on, over the last year we have had quite a few reports from Wayne at Everything Dorset, and Everything Dorset literally does focus on businesses and organisations and places in Dorset, and looks to share some of the secrets, if you like, with the people of Dorset. And we have seen some of the local businesses from the Weymouth and Portland area shared with you. Now, just before Christmas, Wayne spoke to Phil of Dorset Peddling Pizzas. This is a company that caters with pizzas for things like weddings and parties and some of those agricultural shows and those sort of community events. It's a mobile pizza business and it's run from a specially converted horse box. I thought, as a little bit different, and as we're looking towards the sort of season that people are doing things outside and planning weddings and planning events and things like Dorchester Show and Bridport Show and Melplash Show, all those things are coming up. It would be good to share with you one of the businesses that goes out to support those events. So here we are. This is Dorset Peddling Pizzas, who had a visit just before Christmas from Wayne from Everything Dorset.
Hello, this is Wayne from Everything Dorset, and today at the Yarrow School with Dorset Peddling Pizza Company, and I'm with the owner Phil. He's going to tell us about his business here. So Phil, how long have you been in business for?
We've been in business for 5 years. We started off quite small and then just got bigger and better, hopefully, and expanded since then.
Fantastic. So you got a very interesting name, Peddling Pizza. Where did that come from?
Well, we started off the business by having a trike with a wood-fired oven on the top, which looked fantastic, but it was really labour intensive to open up and close down at an event. So after we traded the first year, we switched to the horse box, but because we had quite a following on Instagram, primarily we just kept the name, so that's why it's Dorset Peddling Pizza Co.
Oh, great story. So you basically mainly do events. So you do weddings. Can you tell us about those? Have you got?
Yes, we do mostly private things. We do weddings, and it's a bit different from weddings. They're larger pizzas. It's buffet style.
Yeah.
But the bride and groom choose what pizzas they want to have, and we also, if they want to, get them to cut a love heart pizza, so a pizza in the shape of a love heart, at some point in the evening. So that normally goes down well, and they like that.
Fantastic. So touching on your menu then, Phil, I see you've got some really interesting things on your menu. So you do a curry pizza, is that right?
Yeah, we like to have a bit of a play with pizzas and try new things. So one of our pizzas is called Curry Night, and basically it's a tikka base, and on top of that is onion bhaji, red onion, and some mango chutney, fresh coriander, and obviously cheese, and it just tastes incredible. It's like eating a curry on a pizza.
Oh, fantastic. So what things have you got coming up this Christmas? Have you got any more events on other than today?
Yeah, this coming Saturday we've got Christchurch Yuletide Festival, and then on Sunday we've got Ringwood Lights Switch On. But again, like I said, most of our stuff is private, so it's quite hard to catch us out and about, to be honest.
Yeah. So if somebody was looking to book your van, how would they do that? Would they do it online?
We've got a website which is, as you would expect, dorsetpeddlingpizza.co.uk. Obviously email as well, or they can give us a ring and we'll get back to them. That's normally how people contact us, or talk to us at an event.
Fantastic. So one final question, Phil. What is your favourite pizza, personally?
That's a good question, and I didn't know you were going to answer that. I probably would say it's a little bit different, but we're a little bit famous for our garlic pizza with mozzarella and Marmite, which just tastes incredible. Obviously, you've got to be a lover, not hater, and goes down really well with a pint of beer. That's probably everyone's favourite that works for us. One of our special pizzas, I probably would say. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, I've never heard of that before, Marmite on a pizza, so that is absolutely great one to try. So it's been lovely talking today, Phil, and I wish you a very busy festive period.
Thanks a lot, Wayne. Cheers.
There we go. That's Phil from Dorset Peddling Pizzas talking to Wayne from Everything Dorset. And I don't know what you think about those idea of pizzas. Certainly I fancy giving that chicken tikka pizza a bit of a taste, and the Marmite and garlic and mozzarella sounds interesting as well. Do like a pizza occasionally, so certainly be looking at those sort of ideas in the future. Now it's that time in the programme for the film review, and we go over to our regular contributor Andrew Wright for this week's film review and preview.
Welcome to Wyke Regis TV film review and preview. I'm Andrew Wright. This week saw the home video release of Halloween Ends, the third and final film in the sequel trilogy to the original 1978 John Carpenter film. The film stars Jamie Lee Curtis reprising her iconic role of Laurie Strode for the final time, and the film revolves around Laurie trying to move past her trauma 4 years after the events of Halloween Kills, only to find herself having to confront her trauma in a final battle with Michael Myers. Now, I was highly anticipating this film, despite all the negative reviews for it, but I have to say that this film severely disappointed me on every level, but the problem lay with the script. The basic ideas behind the film are interesting, but the script fell completely flat with thinly written characters, themes that couldn't get across the way they were intended, and the musical score failed to build any tension. So I gave this film 1.5 stars out of 5. A disappointing conclusion to this film series. This week also saw the release of DC's Black Adam on home video. Long regarded as Dwayne Johnson's passion project, the film stars Johnson as anti-hero Black Adam, who awakens in the present day after 5,000 years of imprisonment, only to come into conflict with the Justice Society of America, who don't agree with his black and white views on justice. When I originally reviewed the film back in October, I gave it 4.5 stars, and I praised the film's gritty atmosphere as well as what feels like a career best performance from Johnson, who gets a chance to shine in his passion project. This week, the nominations for this year's BAFTAs were announced. For those unfamiliar, the BAFTAs are the UK's biggest film awards ceremony, and like the Oscars, celebrates the best in film from across the world. Now, this year's nominations are certainly surprising, as there were a few different bits, but also this award season's favourites were also on the list. Steven Spielberg's The Fabelmans was shut out of most major categories except for Best Original Screenplay, and German-language World War I remake All Quiet on the Western Front received the most nominations this year, including Best Film and Best Film Not in the English Language. Everything Everywhere All at Once was also featured in all major categories predictably, with Angela Bassett for Black Panther and Ke Huy Quan for Everything Everywhere All at Once also adding to their collection of Best Supporting Actor or Actress nods this season. As the BAFTAs are typically the biggest indicators for what to expect for the Oscars, this race is starting to become anyone's game. The full list of nominations go to BAFTA.org, and you should be able to see the full list of nominations. That's all I have for this week, but be sure to check back next week where I will discuss this year's Oscar nominations and quite possibly a horror movie released back in October, Pray for the Devil. Now back to Gary in the studio.
Thank you, Andrew. And news there of the BAFTAs and the Oscars coming up. So it is that award season, and Andrew will keep us up to date with that and let us know what's proposed or what the media are thinking is going to happen. And then obviously we'll share with us the winners when they do come out. Okay, it's that time in the programme now where we go over to the Met Office for the weekend weather forecast. And this week we are joined by Jonathan Vaultry. So over to Jonathan now.
Hello there. Congratulations, you have officially made it to the weekend. It is a bit of a mixed picture for us. Some of us have some sunny spells, but there is also a fair amount of freezing fog around first thing this morning. There's murky shots here in Birmingham. As we move into the afternoon, the freezing fog will continue to disperse. So a good number of sunny spells for England and Wales, perhaps the odd fleeting shower for the coast of East Anglia and Kent. For Northern Ireland and Scotland, though, the cloud is going to be much more persistent. Spits and spots of rain and light drizzle throughout the rest of the day, and more of a persistent breeze as well, particularly for the Northern Isles and Western Isles, where we'll see some coastal gales. Wrapped up in all of this cloud, though, is some milder air, so temperatures will be 7-9 degrees across the northwest, but we'll be struggling further towards the east, maybe only 3 or 4 degrees across central and northern areas of England. Where we see those cold temperatures by day, we're going to see cold temperatures by night as well. Where we hold on to those clearer skies across England, the frost will redevelop, as well as some freezing fog patches, perhaps more likely now from Cambridgeshire down towards Surrey. Further to the north and west, the cloud will push its way into western areas of Wales, northwest areas of England, but it will remain particularly persistent for Northern Ireland and Scotland, with perhaps some more persistent rain pushing in here now as well. It will be, though, continuing to stay mild across the north and west, perhaps temperatures staying where we saw them by day, really, but further towards the south and east, turning bitterly cold once again, perhaps as low as -6, -7 degrees in some rural-prone spots. So a pretty cold start in the south-east, and will be a murky one as well, with those freezing fog patches perhaps slow to clear throughout the day, but eventually some brighter skies coming through. The cloud and rain pushing its way gradually further eastwards now into Wales and northern areas of England. And as that rain pushes its way across the Grampians and southern uplands, it could fall as freezing rain, and that might cause some icy stretches over higher ground. So do just take care if you are heading out here. Otherwise, the breeze will eventually ease down across the northwest, but that's just going to allow the cloud to lower a bit more across Northern Ireland and western Scotland. So hill fog certainly possible, and it will turn rather murky here. Staying mild, though, underneath that cloud, so highs of 10 degrees possible across the likes of Stornoway, but again, will only be around mid to low single figures across southeastern areas of England. We retain that northwest-southeast split as we move throughout Sunday evening. So again, the frost returning further towards the south and east. Whereas for Wales, northern areas of England, now that cloud has pushed its way in, perhaps a reduced risk of frost as we move into the start of the new working week. And speaking of next week, the cloud does look like it wants to push its way further towards the south. So we might see some greyer skies eventually across southern areas of England, perhaps allowing for some brighter spells in the northwest eventually later on. But in terms of that milder air, it's going to take a little while before it eventually seeps its way south. So we'll be looking more towards Wednesday before we see those temperatures potentially rising in some areas of southeast England. You can, though, of course, keep up to date with the full forecast for the coming week by following us on all of our social media sites, and we'll be back with you shortly. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much there, Jonathan, for the weekend national weather forecast. Now, looking to see what's happening for the week ahead in the Weymouth and South Dorset area. Here we go. Here's the weather for the week ahead. So it looks like it's going to be quite cool, quite dry, which is nice. Warming up a little bit towards next weekend, but not getting too warm. So seem to be between about -1 and 9 for the whole week. But the news is it's going to be dry, which is certainly to be welcomed by many people. So that's good news there on the weather. Now, moving to our What's On. Coming up, we have got at Weymouth Pavilion tomorrow, Sunday night comedy with Jade Adams. Then 27th of January, Thank You for the Music, ABBA Tribute. 8th of February, Shakespeare by the Sea Festival. 10th of February, Lionel, the music of Lionel Richie. 16th of February, Spirit of the Dance. 25th of February, the UK Pink Floyd Experience. And don't forget, at the end of March there, the Ukrainian National Opera here for 2 days. Now, the No Fault have got a World War II week. On half-term week, 11th of February to the 19th of February. Lots of things happening over those 9 days. Lots of reenactment and naffy stores and all sorts of things going on there, assault courses and what have you. Things to do for the whole family there at the No Fault. And then on the 11th of March, they've got their Springtober Fest, a beer festival there with local beers and probably ciders as well, I expect. So they say get your loader hosing on and prepare yourself for the No Fault's Springtober Fest. Now, Arts Reach, we mentioned the set menu, The Best of George Egg. This is the TV cook-stroke comedian who cooks with weird things. He uses chainsaws and shovels to cook with and all sorts of weird and wonderful things. Now, he's at Yetminster Jubilee Hall, Sherborne on Friday the 27th of January, 7:30. Burton Bradstock Village Hall, Saturday the 28th at 7:30. And Litchett Matravets Village Hall, Sunday the 29th. Now, I do know I think there are still a few tickets left for these shows. They are almost full though, so if you fancy a different evening out, something with a lot of talk, a lot of comedy and actually cooking going on live in a different way, then a set menu by the George Egg is actually something to look out for. We did run a trailer last week for Learning to Fly by James Rowland. Now that is Thursday the 2nd of February, 7:30 at Broad Oak Village Hall, and Friday the 3rd of February at Piddle Trentide Memorial Hall. So those are the Arts Reach things that are coming up next. Tomorrow, church services in the Wyke Regis area. 8 o'clock at All Saints Church, 9:30 at All Saints Church, 11 o'clock at St Edmunds, and the 9:30 service is live stream. Other programmes from us, just our quiz tonight, 7:30, stream going live at 7:15. Everyone's welcome. That's a free quiz for all the family and all the community. Everybody who wishes to join in is free to do that. And if you missed last week's A Year Gardening with Clive Gray, talking about what he has planned as a garden project for this year, that is still up there on Facebook and YouTube, that you can actually play it back at any time. Now, looking at traffic and travel and planned roadworks in particular, this week, or starting, in fact, the week after this week, 30th of January, the junction on Lanehouse Rocks Road and Fremantle Road by the the petrol station and the chemist there, will see the start of 14 weeks of roadworks with traffic control. This is going to cause major disruption at the busy times during the morning travel time and the afternoon travel time and school pickup time. So do be aware of that. That's 14 weeks from the 30th of January to do a new junction and put traffic control in at the junction of Lanehouse Rocks Road with Fremantle. That's by the chemist there and the petrol station. Now, other roadworks this week that will cause disruption and will have traffic control are Wyke Road, Radipole Lane, Weymouth Way, Hereford Road, Dorset Road up by Morrison's. That's been there this week, and that's again causing significant delays and tailbacks down towards St John's Church, Chisel on Portland, and Park Estate Road on Portland. And as we said earlier, quite a lot of disruption on the railways. That major collapse of the embankment and the line in the Winchester area continues to cause ongoing problems. Of course, we still don't know what's happening ongoing with the strike. So the message with the railways is do seek advice, do look at the websites and information before you plan to travel by rail at the current time. Now that brings us once again to the end of our Saturday news programme. It seems to come around very quickly and disappear very quickly when the programme is going out. We will be back with you next Saturday at 6 o'clock. Don't forget, we always want to hear your news reports, information on your events or anything you're fundraising for, anything that you wish to share with the community in Wyke Regis, Weymouth and Portland and South Dorset and beyond. You can email us at any time at news@wykeregis.tv and we'll be very pleased to hear from you. I hope the rest of the weekend is good for you, and I hope you have a good week ahead, and I will be back with you next Saturday at 6 o'clock. Good night.